and welcome everyone. I'm Arilax, and this week I'm going to be recording with a bit of a spicy one that finished in 6th place at the SCG Tour Orlando Modern Classic in the hands of Lance Austin, and that is Esper Zur. So this is a deck that's been floating around for the last few years in various configurations. And the general idea is that you have the black spot answer suite that's pretty generic and very powerful, and you use that to back up Geist of St. Traft. Um, but traditionally, those decks have been light on ways to actually kill your opponent. So if you don't draw Geist, you don't have a similar threat. But Zur the Enchanter does a really good job of being the same kind of hard to kill, doesn't die to Lightning Bolt, doesn't die to Abrupt Decay, attacks, and usually comes close to one-shotting your opponent, depending on what you tutor for. Um, so that's really what this deck's trying to do, is assemble a threat that is a must answer after picking apart your opponent's hand with Disruption and then using a little bit of other interaction to keep things going. So very heavy on Disruption, Inquisition, Thoughtseize, just pretty much the max. Path to Exile because it's the best removal spell you can play. The thing I've liked about this deck, specifically this version, is the addition of Spreading Seas as enchantment to tutor up. Just like a very powerful effect that KOs a few decks. Very good to have in your main deck too. Ghostly Prison as a Zur tutor target to KO decks that try to go wide. A Steel of the Godhead as your kind of pump thing. You get to make a 3/6 unblockable lifelink flyer, which is pretty good. Then Detention Sphere, so Zur basically becomes whenever it attacks, it gets to exile something. So you take over a game pretty fast with that. A couple negates. I do like negate a lot as the counterspell of choice. I think Remand is at basically an all-time low. Just not a lot of tapping out for things, whereas negate like actually colds combo decks. And Mana Leak gets bad pretty quickly when you're a 4-path mid-rangey deck. You have Jace Vryn's Prodigy. You do have a lot of potential dead cards that you want to filter through. So the loot is much better than the Snapcaster effect. And then, when you do get to flip it, -3 to flashback stuff, that's just kind of a nice bonus. Lingering Souls as your other threat beyond these two. Attacks from a different angle, which is that you get to go wide around removal. So Geist loses to like Liliana of the Veil. Zur loses to like Path to Exile. Souls loses to like neither of those. So you've just got this nice trio of threats going on. 24 lands, you get to play a bunch of Creeping Tar Pits, so you're not quite as land heavy as it seems. Mostly Fetch Duel as expected, but you've got some nice other lands. River of Tears and Darkslick Shores are both there, so you can cast a turn 1 Thoughtseize or Inquisition while playing a dual land of some sort. And then Alejandro Castle is very powerful with Geist of St. Traft, lets you make some really good attacks, and also protects Jace Vryn's Prodigy from Lightning Bolt. So the main deck's pretty straightforward, shockingly linear for a mid-range deck. Moving to the sideboard, you get to play a lot of hate cards. You're an enchantment deck. Leyline of Sanctity against Burn, Night of Soul's Betrayal. Neither of those is tutorable with Zur because the cost cap is 3, but they're just very powerful. One of the things you get to do as a white deck is play these powerful effects. Then we have the tutorable ones, so you've got Stony Silence and Rest in Peace. Unfortunately, I think Stony Silence off of Zur might be too slow a lot of the time against Affinity to shut them down. But it does provide a nice angle against Tron if you can disrupt them a little early to KO a lot of their mid-game action. And Rest in Peace as a tutor target against, tutoring that up against Malira Company is pretty strong. You got another Steel of the Godhead for the matchups where you actually really want the lifelink, where you're trying to race. Some Engineering Explosives to clear out random assorted low drops. Against like Elves, Zoo, just general affinity too, because you can clear out 2s. And then Timely Reinforcements. You're kind of a Jund deck that doesn't kill as fast as true Jund. And your mana's a little more painful, so your burn matchup's going to be really bad. So you do need the full complement of cards to hate them out. But overall, I think the format has kind of proceeded to this weird dirtily mid-range, whatever you want to do phase, which is how Ad Nauseam and Merfolk won tournaments, which makes me want to see, what the merits are of going with a non-traditional strategy that might not be as aggressively punished by certain aspects of the format. So we'll see how this deck goes tonight. I'm pretty excited to attack with Zur the Enchanter.